Dear viewers, I'm Professor Bidit Day, welcoming you to this edition of the Persecution Report, a podcast dedicated to uncovering the truth behind the current situations in Bangladesh. Bangladesh currently stands at a critical crossroads as it gears up for the 13th parliamentary election and a nationwide constitutional referendum. The interim administration under the leadership of Muhammad Yunus purports to be a neutral caretaker administration. However, the truth is far more complex and concerning. Many believe this government is by Jamaat Islami, for Jamaat Islami, and of Jamaat Islami, a religious fanatic party that has documented history of perpetrating genocide, militancy, and terrorism. When Yunus assumed his current role, he claimed that students or student leaders appointed him. These anarchists and opportunist student leaders, some of whom served in Yunus' cabinet, formed a King's Party, which is now an electoral ally of Jamaat Islami. Again, a compelling evidence to prove that Yunus is in an eternal wedlock with Jamaat Islami, who opposed the creation of independent Bangladesh. Meanwhile, the claim that the dual vote represents a new dawn of accountability and inclusion rings hollow because the largest political party, or the most dominant one in the history of Bangladesh, the Awami League, is barred from participating and has been officially been barred from making any political activism right now. And that has certainly created huge uncertainties, and that has certainly questioned the legitimacy and credibility of these elections. To discuss this issue, I have a panel of experts today with me. I have Barrister Taposh Kanti Bol, former prosecutor, ICT Bangladesh, and a member of South Asian Democratic Foundation. We have Barrister Masood Akhtar, advocate of Bangladesh High Court. And also, we have Mr. Anwar Shadat Jihan, my co host. So, without making a further ado, I would like to invite Barrister Ball to take us through about the legality of the current administration. Does the current government, Yunus government, have legal basis to administer and arrange a general election? Over to you, Barrister Ball.
Thank you. We have been talking this for last 1.5 year probably that, and more than that even, that this government of Professor Yunus is absolutely illegal because the way it has taken up the power, it's illegal because on the 5th of August of 2024, you all remember that all on a sudden after Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina decided to protect the citizens of Bangladesh so that the innocent people does not die at the hand of the terrorists. She removed herself from the scenario, right? So apart after that, the head of army, chief of army, called Zamati Islami, BNP, and other political parties, apart from those political parties who are pro-liberation. So after calling all of them, they decided without any interference or any discussion with the citizens of Bangladesh, only a few people within a room, a closed door, they decided that Professor Yunus will be the government, will be the interim government. Whether that provision is in the constitution or not, they did not even consult that. And you remember that by the 8th of or by 8th of August, this question was raised that what is the legality of this government, and then they said, okay, the resigned chief justice along with other senior judges of the appellate division, they under article 108 of the constitution, they have given an explanation that in this scenario a non-party, a non-political party, a caretaker or interim government can be an interim government can be appointed. That's, we have never seen that order, right? We do not know whether that meeting even ever took place among the judges of the Supreme Court of Bangladesh. And after that, they, when they took up the power, we have seen that, like for example, after taking up the power, if they have taken legal steps, human rights oriented steps, then there would have been a question. But we have seen that they have taken all the steps they have taken, all are unconstitutional, right? And for example, they have incarcerated illegally Awami League leaders. They have legalized the attacks on innocent people by the mob. They have legalized the attacks on the minorities of Bangladesh. They have legalized the attacks on the women of Bangladesh. So, and then innocent people like secular activists like Shahriar Kabir, as civil rights activists like Chinmoy Krishna Prabhu, they were all thrown, and scores of journalists, they were all thrown into the prison. And then, in which cases, questionable cases, then he has reactivated the International Crimes Tribunal. And over there as well, one after another, questionable cases were filed against the political leaders, police officials, and who not. And then we all know that thousands of police were killed. Hundreds of private and public installations were destroyed, including the historic Dhanmondi 32 house. And this government has provided an indemnity against every work that has been done, every attack that has been done. So through these, and there is no law and order situation right now in Bangladesh. We all know that. Even newspapers like The Guardian, The Times, Al Jazeera, every single one, they have said that the Yunus government has failed. Today, Devobroto Bhattacharya and others, they have said, like in Bangladesh, they said that this government has no more dom, like they don't have any breath left, right? So in this situation, this government, we know that this government is trying to hold this election, which is again another unconstitutional and illegal step. I have previously in the same in your program, I have said that there is this maxim in law that a fruit of a poisonous tree is also poisonous, right? So this election is nothing else than a fruit of a poisonous tree, which is unconstitutional, illegal, and undemocratic. So it cannot be legal. With this election, now they have added this referendum, which is again another illegality, because this how they have come upon into this referendum. If you remember that they formed a number of reform commissions. Again, I have to tell you that in those reform commissions, there was no woman, there was no member from minority groups.
Barrister Ball, we'll come back to the referendum issue in the next round, but thank you
Okay.
so much. That's very insightful. Barrister Akhtar, from your perspective, what Barrister Ball said about the legal basis of this particular government, how would you assess and what sort of explanation that sometimes they say about the doctrine of necessity and that sort of narrative we have heard from the Yunus side. How do you look at those explanation given by Yunus administration?
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me in the show. First of all, I agree 100% with Barrister Taposh Paul, what he has explained. Let us say these things actually in legal point of view. First of all, this government headed by Dr. Muhammad Yunus doesn't have single point of legality. Actually, under the Bangladesh constitution, there is no such thing called interim government. So he's taking oath under the constitution of Bangladesh, but the constitution doesn't say that is you can be a chief advisor of the country. There is no such post. So from the prima facie, from the outset, this is very clear. This was nothing but an illegal takeover by a terrorist group. What happened in 5th of August? Just remember, as 5th of August was happening in Bangladesh, during that time, there were far-right protests in UK. As you live in UK, at the time, there were far-right protests, and there was a headline where Sir Keir Starmer, the British Prime Minister, said that thugs cannot run our street, cannot take over our country. This was a headline. So what happened in Bangladesh? Now the West is also supporting this. United Kingdom, Sarah Cook, the British ambassador in Bangladesh, is supporting these people, but they are failing to understand when the thugs, when the terrorists try to take over a legitimate government, what the legitimate government should do. They attack the key installation of Bangladesh. They attack the metro rail, the very fine demonstration of progress of Bangladesh. They attack the assets of Bangladesh. That time, the government has a legal responsibility to respond. However, as Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina and her son very eloquently and very clearly explained to the people, explained to the world stage, that is, if she would have decided to remain in power, legally she has the power to use the lethal force in those circumstances. When a terrorist group is attacking the states, she had at that time legal responsibility to protect the assets of the states, lives of the people of the country. But just to avoid further bloodshed, she actually didn't order this police to use the lethal force. But what we have seen, actually, one of the advisor, Brigadier Shakwat Hussain, he is time and again, just after taking over the power, he become the interior minister, advisor. And when he visited various hospitals, he said the 7.62 bullet, which has been used to kill maximum protesters, Bangladesh police or Bangladesh BDR, they don't use it, or BGB don't use it. So from where this came from? So he asked for an investigation. Guess what happened? Within 4 days or 5 days, he was removed from his post. He was given different portfolio. Then again, in another program in 2025, he actually says he is demanding an inquiry, because if we don't have the inquiry to how this 7.62 bullet came in possession and which killed maximum protesters, if it is not properly investigated, then the reality will not be established. So it was an illegal attack on a legal government, and government, just to avoid mass killing, government conceded and gave the power. But military, the problem was the military with that is the army chief and the three chief of our defense forces, they flagrantly violated the constitution. They have the constitutional oath. They have a legal responsibility. I'm telling you, this will come into play because the chief of army staff violated the constitution flagrantly, because he is duty bound by the constitution to protect the states, protect the people of the state, which he failed to do. So this is the circumstances in which Dr. Muhammad Yunus took over power. It was not a legal takeover. It was a violent terrorist takeover of the Bangladesh government.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
And also what Barrister Ball mentioned about the whereabouts of the Chief Justice when his opinion was sought for. We are led to believe right now that he was in the military custody at the time, isn't it, Mr. Barrister?
That is another question. That is another enigma. That is, we are saying that is the Chief Justice of that time, he actually gave his opinion. But this, if it is a court opinion, that has to be signed properly, and people want to know whether, when reportedly he was in the military custody, then how could he do that? How could he do that? So these are the unanswered questions.
One thing I will add with Barrister Masood, that we all remember that on 5th of August, the House of Chief Justice was attacked. The quarters or the official quarters of the judges were attacked. The judges were even fleeing for the safety of their life and for the family's life. So there was no lawyer, there was no judges in the Supreme Court premises. So where did they reconvene?
I'm just going to add to Mr. Taposh Baul one thing, that is, as I worked as the chief legal advisor of Grameen Bank prior to this incident, I had the opportunity to examine Dr. Yunus's very personal things, what he has been doing as a managing director of Grameen Bank. So I know the mindset of Dr. Mohammad Yunus. One of the mindset of Dr. Mohammad Yunus, bear in mind, and his mentor, George Soros, they believe in open society, and actually they don't believe in a state. To Dr. Mohammad Yunus, this is, you have seen in 17 months, that is, his mindset is, he is above the law. He makes laws. He is not answerable to the laws. So forming government without proper legal authorization is very much possible by Dr. Mohammad Yunus.
Thank you very much, Barrister Akhtar. And just for our viewers to know that Barrister Akhtar was very deeply engaged with the litigation of Grameen Bank just before July-August incident took place. And also Barrister Ball was one of the leading legal associates for the ICT, International Crimes Tribunal of Bangladesh, former prosecutor. So both of them have got very deep insights into the constitution as well as the legal proceedings in Bangladesh. So we'll now move into a different topic, and again a very quite talked about, and we have covered this several times in various live programs. That's about the legal issues surrounding Awami League's participation. That Awami League has been forcefully barred, and their activities are barred on an executive decision. So where do you see the legal aspects here? May I start with first Barrister Akhtar, and then I'll move to Barrister Ball.
First of all, this is completely illegal. There is no legality to this. You cannot stop the activities of a political party by executive order. That's Nazism. I agree with Ghulam Qadir's explanation, the chairman of Jatiya Party, that is Dr. Yunus has brought Nazism in Bangladesh. Rightly said. What Dr. Yunus is doing, he is violating the law flagrantly. He is not giving any toss to the law. To him, law is what he says, what he wants to achieve. So what he has done, he has excluded the 50 to 60% of Bangladesh population from the full electoral process. And he's telling people that is, these people cannot participate in election. He's saying it is by an executive order. But what is the validity? Is executive order can ban activity of a political party? No. In nowhere in the world, it is not sustainable. It will not be sustainable in the court of law. And he's saying to his world masters, that is, he had just suspended their activities. He hasn't banned them. Come on, Dr. Yunus, grow up. At the age of 86, you need to grow up. You need to give a bit of law, understand the law. You have put yourself in such a position that is, I don't know how law will come to haunt you. Probably it will be a difficult story in your life when you will see that is every steps of your life since 5th of August, you have violated the law in such a way. Even anybody want to forgive you, they will not have any reason, they will not have any scope to forgive you because you are violating the law. You are also, this is important to know. If you want to establish democracy, he gave a big hope. But remember, he filed case against me, only allegation against me. I told him, I quoted, I just explained to the world, that is why I think he's a pathological liar. Why Grameen Bank thinks he's a pathological liar. For that, he filed a case against me. This is an only allegation against me. Now, the whole world is coming and united together. The whole Bangladesh, even Dr. Yunus's core supporters are observing and agreeing with me. Dr. Mohammad Yunus is nothing but a pathological liar. He's such a liar. He's such a flouter of law. He doesn't give a toss to the law. He thinks he is above the law. But Dr. Muhammad Yunus, I'm telling you, if you are alive, if the Bangladesh exists as a sovereign country, law will catch up with you. You will not be able to escape the full force of law. You just watch.
Thank you very much, Barrister Akhtar. Barrister Ball, it's one thing is that b- barring political activities of the Awami League party, but also how does it implicate on the upcoming election that a political party which represents a significant share of people's support, right, is not being part of these election?
I will just focus on the situation. First of all, what is a political party? A political party is actually a bundle of rights, right? A freedom of expression, your right to vote, your right to assembly. These all these rights and freedoms are bundled into one aspect, and that is a political party. That because you single person as an individual, you cannot express your wishes, your political wishes. So political party is just like a ship, or a medium to carry out that desire so that that can be fulfilled, right? Now, when a political party can be banned, a political party like Nazi can be banned because it resorted to anarchism, terrorism, and it denied basic human rights to people, right? For example, they denied right to life, equal treatment, human dignity, freedom of expression, freedom of assembly, you just name it, those were denied by Nazi political party, right? Now, the same thing happened to Jamaat-e-Islami in 1971. They denied the very existence of those who believed in the concept of independence of Bangladesh. And that's why they aided and abetted with Pakistan army to participate in killing or in the crimes of genocide, in crimes of like crimes against humanity and war crimes against freedom loving Bengali people. Their crime was that they believed in the independence of Bangladesh. Even Jamaat, after being injected back to Bangladesh's politics by Ziaur Rahman, they did not say, right, for example, they did not seek forgiveness, first of all, and then they carried on their terrorist activities like cutting tendons and everything, whatnot they have done. So they are an anarchic terrorist political party who has violated the human rights of mass people, and International Crimes Tribunal of Bangladesh has found that they are a genocidal political party. For this reason, Jamaat was banned. You remember that on 2nd of August 2024, they were banned. But now, coming back to the question of Awami League as a political party. Awami League, when it was created, from then onwards, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, the father of the nation, together with other founders of Bangladesh Awami League, they always the time treated these political party as a as a mode of visualizing and transporting the political rights of mass people into reality. It fought for freedom of expression, association, right to life, dignity, and independence. At the end of the day, they, because of Bangabandhu and Bangladesh Awami League, in Bangladesh became an independent country in 1971. We cannot deny that. And the most perspective thing, that what I said, that what is a political party, Awami League as a political party always the time respected secularism, respected people's rights, which are enshrined not only in the Constitution of Bangladesh, but which are enshrined in the International Human Rights or Bill of Rights. So when you deny the political right to a political party like Awami League, you are not only denying the rights to the leaders of this political party, you are denying the very rights of those general people who actually created this political party, who support this political party. who thinks that Awami League is the vehicle through which they can fulfill their political desire. What is the political desire of Bangladeshi people? It is narrated in the preamble of the constitution, right? They want a Bangladesh which will be secular, democratic, which will be a socialist country from the perspective of economical perspectives. So and above all, it will be a country which observes natural justice and rule of law.
And also
So
linguistic nationalism.
and linguistic nationalism, absolutely, because we are in February right now. We are talking at February. So in this situation, people has experienced that when Awami League is not in the scenario, what happens? People are saying, first of all, their voices are getting shut down. They have, as I said, arrested journalists, civil rights activists, secular activists, and they are denying the history of Bangladesh. Now, when Awami League is not there, Shafiq Rahman, once he says, for example, Oli Ahmed is he is the person who declared independence in Bangladesh. And at one stage, another Jamaat Islami leader says he is actually the one who declared independence of Bangladesh. And Shafiq Rahman has already said that he will rewrite the history of Bangladesh once they will come to power.
And
So,
Mirza Fakhrul, in his interview with Al Jazeera, said that BNP does not support secularism.
secularism.
So there is no party currently actively pursuing these elections have got support for secularism. So a
Absolutely.
particular notion has been completely wiped off the.
Absolutely. You just take the word from my mouth that no political party, through it is evident from their manifesto that they will be fighting for these high ideals that is narrated in the preamble of the Constitution. So, in this scenario, we are banning a political party which is the vehicle of most of the people in Bangladesh, so that their political desire can be, or their political will can be translated into state policy at one stage. That choice you are taking away from them. That is actually what is happening right now.
Thank you very much, Barrister Ball. Both you and Barrister Akhtar have been extremely eloquent, and that kind of brings us to an end of our first segment. So normally, what we do is that we get through some slides to see the statistical and the current situation. In terms of statistics, in terms of news updates, and in terms of some insights from the real world. And normally that is done by my co-host, Anwar Shada Jihan. So Jihan, could you please take us through the presentation? Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Dev, for connecting today. After hearing both Barrister Ball and Barrister Masood about how this unconstitutional Yunus regime took over Bangladesh very violently and unconstitutionally, and what they have done after that, there is no doubt that Bangladesh is in very, very tough time, and it is heading towards a complete destruction. Mr. Yunus is taking Bangladesh towards a complete destruction, because if we let this election become a reality, not only will the constitution of Bangladesh face complete destruction, but Bangladesh's culture, heritage, identity, our pro-revolution war value, everything will be completely wiped out. And it all started by a totally illegal, hypocritical executive order, which banned Bangladesh Awami League, the largest political party. Now, as Barrister Ball have mentioned about how Jamaat was also banned, let me remind my audience that Jamaat was banned through a proper legal process. Through the court, the High Court found Jamaat's charter to be unconstitutional. They found it violated women's rights, secularism, and the basic democratic principles. And then, through a litigation, there was a ban on Jamaat from participating in the election. But for the case of Awami League, what we have seen historically is that whenever autocrat, whenever military dictator took over state power, Awami League faced such sweeping ban. After this ban, they did not stop. Just after banning the Awami League, we have talked about this throughout the whole 1.5 year, how they have tortured the Awami League activists, imprisoned them through fake, fabricated charges, and even denied the basic human rights, such as what we have seen at the case of Saddam's wife and child, who could not attend their funeral. What is most surprising, Professor Day, is how the Awami League supporters at this day are being treated. We keep hearing from the Jamaat leaders and the BNP leaders about what the Awami League supporters would do in the election. It is as if, they have some sort of authority, and the Awami League supporters of Bangladesh are some pawn who they can dictate who they are going to vote, while excluding the symbol for which they can vote, while excluding the philosophy that these millions of people believe in. This is the ridiculous situation that we are in right now. Then, at the same time, minorities are 8%, right, Professor Day? But when we look at the electorate base, the minorities comprises about 15-16% voters of Bangladesh. And when you create such environment of fear, minorities will not feel comfortable going to the polls. Even recently, AP News, I think a couple of days back, published another article about how minorities are fearing for their life, for their future. But Mr. Yunus and his government did not pay heed to any of these concerns, because they themselves are the enablers of this violence. Because Mr. Yunus's only supporters are these religious extremist folks, who, if this election happens and they become legitimized, will come over and wreak havoc. They will just eliminate the minorities. And that's why the minorities of Bangladesh are saying that they are facing an existential crisis. And we all have seen what is happening with the women of Bangladesh. Center for Policy Dialogue, CPD, very recently, after their research, they have found that the polls won't be inclusive without the Awami League. Indeed, the polls will not be inclusive without the Awami League. It will not be credible. It will not be free. It will not be fair. Because when you exclude a significant portion of the electorate base, this is not democracy. It is a staged drama, as the advisor of Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, Mr. Sojib Joy, repeatedly stated. So to conclude, Professor Day, I would like to again go back to what Mr. Joy repeatedly said and ask the Bangladeshi audience, our Bangladeshi friends, our Bangladeshi citizens, to boycott this election. On 12 February, please stay home, stay safe, and spend some time with your family. Your absence will send a message to the whole world that Bangladeshis will not let their country go astray. Back to you, Professor Dev.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jihan. Your presentation really brought this issue to life, and some of the assertions that you have made are extremely compelling and concerning too. So I would go back to Barrister Ball. You initiated a discussion around the referendum, and that is another bizarre thing we are observing currently. One of the many bizarre issues Yunus regime has offered to us. So over to you, Barrister Ball. Please continue. First thing is that whether or not this referendum is allowed in our constitution, and how this referendum is being organized. Reform Commission you mentioned. Over to you, Mr. Barrister Ball.
I will continue with the discussion that what is actually referendum. Referendum comes from this Latin maxim again, which says that propositum quod referendum est populo, which means that a proposal which must be carried back to the people. That means that whenever the political parties and the people, they fall out, then political parties go back to the people to understand that what the people wants. And generally it happens with the one single question and one single kind of answer with a yes or no. Or I have seen in recent past that within European context, they also use that I do not want to vote, right? Or even sometimes they put the option that this referendum is even illegal. They put it that way. So the thing is that in Bangladesh's scenario, from where this referendum is coming, first of all, let me be very clear that it is not in the constitution anymore. It was in the constitution, but it is not in the constitution anymore, because from our research and from the political perspective of Bangladesh, it was considered that both referendum and caretaker government concept is unconstitutional. It creates extra undemocratic burden over people. And generally, in Bangladesh's history, only one referendum so far was held properly. That is in 1990s, after the fall of Ershad. That yes/no vote or referendum was the only single referendum that you can say that was held properly. But apart from that, every other referendum that was held in Bangladesh was illegal, unconstitutional, and the main thing is that those were manipulated by those who were controlling the power. So this time as well, the question of referendum came because the Yunus government didn't have a clear mandate about anything, not even about itself. So what he did at first, since the parliament is not in session, so they created certain, these constitutional and certain other reform committees, where I say that none of those reform committees had women members, none of them had minority members. So if you put together women and minority and pro-liberation, that has to be mentioned. Nobody mentions that even so, if you compile or add these three groups together, you will see that 95% or even 90% of the population was not represented in those reform commissions, right? So in those reform commissions, they proposed that since none of these reform commission members are political leaders and have any connection whatsoever with the political desire of people of Bangladesh, so they proposed that we should have a referendum. Before the referendum, you remember that these imported professor or expert, Mr. Ali Riaz, he proposed that there is this 60-page reform proposal, right? Saying parliament, constitution, and everything. But in a nutshell, the main target of all this proposal was actually three things, if I may put it in that way. Number one, to change or to reduce the power of parliament and the prime minister. Number one, to change the character of our constitution from secularism to Islamism. And number three is to change the constitution itself and to rewrite the history of 1971, because the history of 1971 is the biggest threat to Jamaat-e-Islami and other political parties who uses Islam or political Islam as their vehicle to come into power. So these are the things they wanted. They wanted to change the narrative, they wanted to change the ideology, and to impose their political desire on the people of Bangladesh. They are using this referendum. Now, in the referendum, again, I said that more than 60 pages proposal was there by Dr. Ali Riaz. And then they have proposed it only 6 questions. And again, against these 6 questions, you are not putting yes, no, very good, or I do not answer, I think it is illegal. These choices are not there. It's only yes or no, only one single answer to 6 questions. As a student of any discipline, can you imagine that you have posed 6 questions and you want only one single answer from a student? Can that be democratic even? That is, yes. Please.
Yeah, thanks, Barrister Ballot. We'll come back to this point about this package deal rather than more specific binary issues that referendums stand for. But before that, I would like to listen to Barrister Akhtar about 2 things. First is that we know that another eminent lawyer, Dr. Shahidin Malik, declined to head the commission. And then we had Professor Ali Riaz being flown into this position, been parachuted, right? So many people may have...
That's why I use the term imported.
Imported, yes. So may I know what his authority is about? Because you two are legal experts, right? What is Mr. Ali Riaz's authority in constitution, in legal aspects? He is not in that disciplinary area. What do you think about it?
His legal authority is Dr. Yunus's crony. That is only his expertise. He is one of the cronies of Dr. Yunus. He is there to fulfill the desire of Dr. Muhammad Yunus. Dr. Yunus operates, his apparatus operandi, if you want to examine, then you will see he always promote the cronies. The people, those who are subservient to him, he always give tax to them. Like the health advisor, Nurjahan, is one of his students whom he picked up from the very early age of our studentship as Dr. Muhammad Yunus. So what I'm coming to is that this commission, they don't have any legal authority. Let's put it that way. Nothing is formed in under Dr. Yunus, under any legal maxim, under any legal principle, or under any legal authority. This commission doesn't have any legal authority to actually recommend any constitutional recommendation. If the Bangladesh is a functioning country, Bangladesh was a functioning country. So if you want to change the constitution, there is procedures, which we have precedents, we have laws, we have rules, we have court cases. So that needs to be followed. Now, what Dr. Yunus has done, because he has illegally occupied his position, he is an illegal occupant of the prime minister position at the moment in the disguise of chief advisor. So what he has done, all the things he has said, doesn't have any legal basis. That's why Dr. Shadin Malik, such eminent lawyer, actually, when they realize that is what they are asked to do. So if I'm a lawyer, when I'm a lawyer, I must see that is there any legal question when somebody bring a case to me. Even when Grameen Bank appointed me to advise them on the legal issues of Dr. Muhammad Yunus's corruption, my question was simple. I don't want to follow the government's instruction. I wanted to see is the law is broken. So if law is broken, if somebody needs to answer to the law, then we take the case. Mr. Taposh Paul will agree with me. That is the principle. But Dr. Yunus's case is that what he has set up, these are all actually designed to prolong his power and grip in the, this constitutional reform, 84 questions in total in the charter. Does anybody of Bangladesh understand what actually this referendum, this is one of a unique referendum. Dr. Yunus is another zeros. Dr. Yunus, I'm telling you, that is 3 zeros. You remember his famous 3 zeros? Once in a TV interview, I was telling that is we have enough evidence actually to show that is Dr. Yunus's 3 zeros are nothing but social lies. He's just lying to the people. So this is a constitutional reform is actually he has created a hospose in such a way, even now he doesn't know how to come out from it. Ali Riaz, he famously in a meeting, he's declaring, these people are so arrogant and they think they're so much above the law and American deep state will protect every one of them. He's saying we are here because we have broken the constitution. They have admitted by themselves that is they have breached the constitution. And do you know what is the punishment for breaching the constitution? Remember, for a country, the sacred law is that constitution. For America, their constitution is their Bible. In Bangladesh, our constitution is our Bible. If we don't run by a constitution, we live in a jungle. Dr. Muhammad Yunus actually has introduced jungle law in Bangladesh. At the moment, when I talk to my colleagues who are practicing in court, everybody is frustrated. Why everybody is frustrated? Because there is no application of rule of law. Dr. Yunus is, when he says, whole world will come to us, now whole world has shut the door for us. When he
But
says,
Mr. Akhtar, I would like to draw your attention on one particular proposed reform which would diminish the Prime Minister's power and will enhance the presidential role in the government administration. Do you see that moving forward, this could potentially lead to sort of impasse between the Parliament and President and also can create a lot of political deadlock?
exactly. Look, these reforms are pushed through without using the hate. They are just uh, uh, to establish some agenda of Dr. Muhammad Yunus and his cronies. Because when you create these circumstances, you have to look at the historical aspect. You need to see how it will impact. Okay, now he's creating, do you know why he's creating this? The rumor is, and it is a very much rumor, that is, as he is planning to actually implement a system on 12th of February election, where his cronies, Jamaat Islam and NCP, he wants them to be elected, and then he wants to be with the president. So this presidential power and the division of power between the prime minister and president, actually not for long-term reform. It is actually to give him power. That is his agenda. But people are failing. But he is putting all this under very nice, glossy cover. So people are buying it. Some people, his cronies are, or his supporters are maybe buying it, but they are not understanding. This guy is incapable of telling the truth. He cannot speak the truth. He cannot speak the truth. His whole life is based on lies. He has achieved the Nobel Prize based on lies. I have seen his personal writings. I've seen his personal notes. I've seen how corrupt this guy is. And this is the guy we have entrusted he doesn't have loyalty to the people of Bangladesh. His loyalty to George Soros, his loyalty to Bill Clinton, his friends, his loyalty to Jeffrey Epstein and those people. He's one of those. He is not there to serve the people. He doesn't understand what is needed for people of Bangladesh. He is just an illegal occupant who has come to destroy the country. He's destroyed an economy. The 17 months is the story of destruction. And rightly, Ghulam Qadir of Jatiya Party has identified him as the new Hitler of Bangladesh.
One way to kind of explain this for our viewers, that in last 18 months, he visited at least 12 different countries, but he hasn't been even in 3 or 4 different districts in Bangladesh. So he's more connected.
You see, we had papers, documents, but we couldn't bring it to prosecute him. He is the biggest person. He is the biggest money laundering person in the Bangladesh history. Even if the current leadership of BNP and others see this, they will be saying that is, oh my God, what this guy been up to? Yeah. So this is a guy we are dealing with. Yeah. He has a strong friend. He built his everything with the connection. He's an Epstein of Bangladesh. He's an Epstein, another Epstein. His power lies with his connections. His power lies with the money. He gives money to everybody to buy their loyalty. That's how he operates. This guy will, if he is allowed as the president of Bangladesh or any capacity to further continue, I'm telling you, the 16 crore people's life is in danger. Already, our economy has been destroyed in such extent. There is a famine looming for our country. Our businesses are every day stopping. He is a mass murderer. He kills people. His hand is bloody. He is a killer. He has killed people. He has committed mass murder. So this guy needs to be removed. Otherwise, our country, our countrymen will suffer enormously in the hand of this murderer, Dr. Yunus.
Thank you very much, Barrister Akhtar. And now I will go back to Barrister Ball. If you could briefly conclude on your assessment of the referendum, but I would also like you to add briefly on the current law and order situation, whether or not our voters should feel safe to go to the polling booth on the election day, considering the escalating violence, and particularly people from the minority community and women. Over to you, Barrister Ball.
Thank you. I will start with saying that for example, referendum, as I said, that this referendum is not legal, is not constitutional. However, we have seen that this policy of having referendum has came from Switzerland, and from 16th century onwards, they have been doing it, and it became popular in 1970s. And it generally referendums are taken place that if it is a mandatory policy, if you want it to be a binding one, and most of the time referendums are citizen initiated. The question is that the questions that are asked, whether those are mandatory and whether they are citizen initiated, and whether the result will bind the future parliaments and the innocent people without knowing that what kind of policy changes will be introduced. So, from that perspective, also, this referendum is a big lie, a big deceiving tool to get political, people mandate. Now, coming to this, that how actually Yunus is targeting to achieve this through, obviously, through election engineering, right? At first, you remember that the public officials of the government, they were propagating people to vote for yes, and then some young lawyers from Awami League, they filed this writ petition before the Supreme Court of Bangladesh, even though the court, uh, you know, just rejected that writ without hearing much. But what happened the day after, the election commission also said that, okay, the public officials of the government cannot advocate for yes or no vote. This is illegal. Even on that day, Dr. Ali Riyaj was advocating that yes, it is halal for the public officials to go ahead and propagate for yes and no vote. But unfortunately, election commission stick to its decision, and for last 1 week we haven't seen that what happened. But unfortunately, by this time, thousands of crores of public money has been spent behind this kind of propaganda. Now, without giving this knowledge, one another thing the people of Bangladesh must understand, that what this referendum involves. This referendum not only involves public policy change, constitutional change, it also involves taxation and public money spending decisions. So in the UK, it is called money bill. In Bangladesh, in Bangla, we tell them ortho bill. Before this kind of money bill you can take, there has to be a parliament. There has to be well debated decision before a single penny from the public pocket is spent. So there is no parliament at this moment. There is and everything you are doing is through ordinance, right? And these ordinances have already become illegal, because every single ordinance has a lifetime of 90 days, and within these 90 days, these ordinances has to be approved from the parliament. But this is not happening. So all these ordinances have already lost their lifetime. So in this situation, what kind of referendum and what kind of public policy you are trying to change? Now, coming back to that question of lawlessness situation, why this lawless situation all on a sudden? The first thing is that minorities of Bangladesh, they are always the time target before, during, and after the election. Always the time. That is because even though Mr. Anwar Sadat said that they are 15%, but there are certain constituencies in Bangladesh, which is more than 100 in number, where they constitute nearly 50%, 50% of voters. So they are crucial. Even where they are 15 or 16% in number, their vote is crucial, because wherever their vote goes, that political party wins. Most of the time in the past elections, they opted for secular political parties, which is obviously Awami League. They voted Awami League, and that's why Awami League won in those close contested elections. So now that's why they do not want these minority voters to go to the voting booth, because if they vote, obviously they will probably vote someone which will not favor Jamaat Islami, which will not favor Yunus, and what Barrister Masood said, that American deep state will not be satisfied. Another big question, after revealing their desire, their deep desire with women policy, the women voters are also not going to vote for Jamaat and the other Islamist political parties. At least if you are an educated woman, if you are a free born, free will woman, then definitely you are never going to vote for Jamaat or any Islamic political party. So they are also game changers. So if they go to a voting booth and vote against the political Islamist political parties, then definitely the situation will change. So from that perspective as well, they do not want women to go for vote, and that's why they are setting the standard for which woman can go to vote. They are putting always the time women under burqa, women like who are supporters, even if you are not under burqa, if you are a supporter of Bangladesh Jamaati Islami, then you can go to vote, you can remain vocal. But if you are not followers of these people, this political party which only introduce or advocates political Islam, you cannot go for vote. So in this situation, I think it is understandable that why people or Jamaat and the other Muslim political parties and Yunus do not want women to go for vote, minorities not to go for vote.
Thank you very much. One last question to Barrister Akhtar about the current law and order situation. Of course, Barrister Ball reflected on that. But in general, for the last 18 months, we have been seeing mob violence, and every day we are seeing some sort of violence somewhere happening. And the government has completely failed to mitigate those. What's your take? How people should feel about it during the election day?
Right. My understanding is that the election day will be, there will be very less participation, but those who will be participating, the Jamaat and BNP supporter, they will be fighting each other. Because the law and order situation is such, from the 5th of August, last 18 months, the way Dr. Muhammad Yunus, you see, I think it's on 6th, Friday, the Inclub Moncho, what they have done. Sometimes what I feel that is Dr. Muhammad Yunus, for his power grab, he has created monsters, Frankenstein, the NCP and the Inclub Moncho. These are monsters. Even if the Jamaat comes to power to rule the country, if they want to rule the country, they will have to take care of these monsters. Because when these monsters are outside, you cannot rule any country. Even if your son is a monster, you cannot rule the family. So Dr. Yunus has created the monsters, and I'm telling you, probably, this is my feelings, that is, he will be taken care of by these monsters. And he will not be able to control the rule of law. He will not be able to control the streets, because these genies out of the bottle. The popular saying is the genies out of the bottle. They are everywhere creating chaos. He has destroyed his generation. Gen Z, he has destroyed them. You have seen, they are so, they don't have political decency. They are the uses of, they have made use of some of the languages. If you see, they use it for political leaders, for Tariq Rahmans and for others. It's unbelievable. This has been given out to the people by Dr. Muhammad Yunus. So political situation as such, 12 January, I think people should remain at home, because it will be a violent election. The army, because we have seen Bangladesh army, because they have been made clueless as well. They will not be able to give protection to the ordinary
people. They didn't do anything. Yeah. Thank you very much, my esteemed panelists. Dear viewers, we have heard compelling and articulated arguments illustrating why the upcoming elections in Bangladesh cannot be regarded as legitimate. From our discussion, we have 5 key takeaways. First, the current government lacks a legal foundation, rendering any elections they oversee devoid of legitimacy. There are no constitutional provisions for referendum, and implementing sweeping reforms by a selected few would be grossly undemocratic and unconstitutional. 3. Conducting elections without the involvement of the largest center-left party and progressive alliance significantly restricts citizens' voting preferences, undermining the credibility of the electoral process as well as its outcomes. We can reach a conjecture based on the available evidence that the government and its machinery could potentially manipulate the elections to achieve their desired outcomes. Last, very important point, there are escalating concerns regarding the potential election day violence, which our panelists alluded to, as terrorists and militants remain active, and the Yunus administration has utterly failed to mitigate violence over the last 18 months. Therefore, it is an axiomatic assumption that if you are a Bangladeshi citizen, you should remain at home, refrain from casting your vote. To our international allies and friends, we urge you not to recognize these elections, as doing so would lead Bangladesh into a greater uncertainty, chaos, and conflict. I'm Bidit Day, signing off till the next time. Thank you very much.